It was supposed to be a day of closure, a bittersweet moment to honor my father and divide his estate. My dad, bless his soul, had always been fair. He left everything to be split evenly between me and my older brother, Mark. We were close, or so I thought. The day we were supposed to finalize the paperwork, I got a text from Mark. "Sorry, man. Dad actually left everything to me." My blood ran cold. I called him, my voice shaking. "What are you talking about, Mark? That's not true." He just repeated it, his voice devoid of emotion. "He changed the will. It's all mine." The next few months were a blur of lawyers and court dates. Mark had manipulated Dad, twisting his words while he was sick and vulnerable, convincing him to change the will. The betrayal cut deeper than any financial loss. This wasn't just about money, it was about the years of shared memories, the trust I'd placed in my own brother, shattered. I remember sitting in court, watching Mark avoid my gaze, a stranger in his place. I fought tooth and nail, and thankfully, I won my rightful share. But the victory felt hollow. We haven't spoken since that day. The inheritance was divided, but the relationship was irrevocably broken. I learned a harsh lesson about family, about how easily love and loyalty can be twisted by greed. It's been 5 years now. I've moved on, built a life for myself, but the scar remains. Sometimes, late at night, I still replay that text message, that phone call, and the crushing weight of realizing my own brother could do that to me. It's a wound that may never fully heal, a constant reminder of the day my trust was stolen along with my inheritance. Sources. 1. What's the biggest betrayal you've experienced in your own family? Reddit.com, https://www.reddit.com/r/stories/comments/1IP0GWQ/what's_the_biggest_betrayal_in, scraped, March 9, 2026. 2. What's the most devastating betrayal you've ever experienced? Reddit.com, https://www.reddit.com/r/stories/comments/1IQP5Z7/what's_the_most_betrayal_you've_ever, scraped, March 31, 2026. I, 28F, inherited my grandmother's beautiful, historic wedding venue, the Gilded Lily, 2 years ago. It's my passion project, and I've poured my heart and soul into restoring it and making it a sought-after location. My sister, Kay, 26F, is engaged and has been planning her wedding for months. She's always been a bit of a dreamer, and her taste is, let's just say, unique. Think glitter cannons and a live llama. Last week, Kay came to me, beaming. "So, I was thinking," she started, her eyes wide, "since you have the Gilded Lily, and it's just sitting there most weekends, could we have our wedding there? For free, obviously. It would be perfect." I was taken aback. "Kay, you know how much work goes into booking and running this place. It's my business. I can't just give it away for free, especially not for a wedding that would likely involve, well, llamas." She pouted. "But it's family. You're being so selfish. You always get what you want." "I've always dreamed of getting married there. And I've dreamed of making this venue a success," I countered, trying to keep my voice even. "I have bookings, Kay, real paying clients. I can't just cancel them for your wedding. And even if I could, the cost of running it for a private event, even for family, is significant." Kay stormed out, yelling, "You're a terrible sister. I hope your venue goes bankrupt." Since then, she hasn't spoken to me. My parents are trying to mediate, saying I should just make an exception for family. But this venue is my livelihood. I've worked tirelessly to build it up. Letting Kay have it for free, potentially disrupting my business and dealing with her unconventional ideas, feels like a massive betrayal of my own hard work. Am I the asshole for prioritizing my business over my sister's wedding venue request? Sources. 1. A guide on writing fake Reddit stories, r/AITA Angel, https://www.reddit.com/r/amethyangel/comments/1f60get/a_guide_on_writing_fake_Reddit_stories. 2. How to post, r/amithasshole wiki, https://www.reddit.com/r/amithyasshole/wiki/how-to-post. So, I'm 23, living in my first, real, apartment after college. It's a decent place, a little small, but it's mine. My landlord, Mr. Henderson, let's call him H, is this older dude, maybe late 50s, who seems nice enough at first. He's got this smug, I'm smarter than everyone, vibe, though. My lease clearly states, no pets, but I have a cat, Mittens, who is basically my emotional support animal. She's quiet, clean, and H has never seen her. I figured, what's the harm? Fast forward 6 months. H decides to do a surprise inspection. I panicked. Mittens was hiding under my bed, bless her little heart. H walks in, does his usual snooping, and then, bam, he spots a stray cat toy. His eyes narrowed. I thought we had a no pets policy, he sneers. I tried to play dumb, but he wasn't having it. He gave me 30 days to get rid of Mittens or get out. I was devastated. Mittens is my family. I couldn't just abandon her. I spent a week stressing, looking for new places, but nothing was in my budget that allowed pets. Then, I remembered H mentioning offhand how he was looking to retire and sell this building, but he was waiting for the right offer. He also complained about how difficult it was to manage the tenants and the repairs. An idea sparked. I started doing some digging. Turns out, H was notorious for cutting corners. The building had a bunch of code violations he'd been ignoring, and he was known for being a nightmare to deal with when things broke. I started documenting everything. Leaky faucet in the hallway. Photo. Cracked tile in the bathroom. Video. H's passive-aggressive emails about Mittens. Saved. I compiled a tenant complaint dossier and anonymously sent it to the city's housing authority, CCNGH on the email. I also found a local property management company that specializes in distressed buildings and sent them my dossier, framing it as a potential investment opportunity with a motivated seller. Within 2 weeks, the city sent H a stack of violation notices. The property management company contacted him about buying the building, mentioning they were aware of the current management challenges. H was freaking out. He couldn't afford the repairs, and he was getting pressure from the city. He called me, furious, demanding to know if I was behind it. I just calmly said, Mr. Henderson, I'm just a tenant who wants to live in a safe building. And Mittens is staying. He caved. He rescinded the eviction notice and agreed to let Mittens stay, provided I kept the noise down. A few months later, he sold the building to the management company. The new owners are actually great, they fixed everything, and they're pet-friendly. H lost out on a potentially higher sale price because he was too stubborn and greedy. I got to keep my cat and my apartment, and H got a taste of his own medicine. Sometimes, the best revenge is just paperwork. Sources. 1. My landlord tried to evict me for having a pet, so I made him sell his building, reddit.com.
https://www.reddit.com/my_landlord_tried_me_for having_pet_so, posted January 2, 2023, 12:00 a.m. Universal Time Coordinated. I was 16, living in my childhood home with my parents and my younger sister, Kay, who was 12. It was a Tuesday night, late, probably around 2 a.m. I'd been up way too late playing video games, and my parents were already asleep. Kay was also asleep in her room down the hall. The house was quiet, the kind of quiet that makes every little creak and groan sound amplified. I was just about to head to bed myself when I heard it, a soft, scraping sound coming from upstairs. It sounded like it was coming from the attic access door in the hallway ceiling. I froze, listening. It happened again, a distinct thump followed by a slow, drawn-out screech. My blood ran cold. That door was always a pain to open, and it was definitely latched. Hello. I called out, my voice cracking. Silence. I told myself it was just the house settling, or maybe a squirrel got in. But the sound had been too deliberate. I grabbed the heavy mag light flashlight from the kitchen counter, my heart pounding in my chest.
I crept up the stairs, each step feeling like an eternity. As I reached the top of the stairs, I saw it. The attic door, which should have been flush with the ceiling, was now hanging open about 6 inches. A sliver of absolute darkness was visible. I stood there, paralyzed, for what felt like minutes. Then, I heard a faint whisper, like dry leaves skittering across pavement, coming from the darkness above. It wasn't words, just a sound that made the hairs on my arms stand on end. I didn't think. I turned and bolted back downstairs, fumbling for my phone. I called my dad, my hands shaking so badly I could barely dial. "Dad! Dad, wake up! Something's in the attic." He mumbled something groggy, but the panic in my voice must have gotten through. He came downstairs, rubbing his eyes, and I pointed a trembling finger at the ceiling. He looked confused, then concerned. He grabbed a broom and carefully nudged the attic door further open. Nothing. Just insulation and cobwebs. He checked the latch, which was still engaged. "Must have been the wind, kiddo," he said, trying to sound reassuring, but I saw the flicker of unease in his eyes. He secured the door, and we both stood there, listening. The house was silent again. We never found out what it was. The door never opened on its own again. But for months afterward, whenever I was home alone, I'd swear I could hear faint whispers from upstairs, just at the edge of hearing. I still don't sleep with my bedroom door open. Sources: 1. Reddit, the heart of the internet, https://www.reddit.com. It was 2 a.m., and I was staring at my ceiling, the kind of wide awake that only comes from pure, unadulterated rage. My boss, Mr. Henderson, let's call him H, had just called me into his office and, with a smug grin, told me I was being let go. Budget cuts, he'd said, but I knew it was bullshit. He'd been gunning for my job for months, constantly undermining me, taking credit for my work, and generally making my life a living hell. He even went so far as to spread rumors about me to HR. The worst part? He offered me a severance package, but it was a joke. Barely enough to cover a month's rent. "Take it or leave it," he'd said, practically spitting the words. I left, but not before a little seed of an idea started to sprout in my sleep-deprived brain. H was a creature of habit. Every Friday, like clockwork, he'd leave the office at 4 p.m. sharp, heading straight to the Rusty Mug for his weekly happy hour. He'd always leave his office door unlocked, a habit I'd noticed and mentally filed away. He also had a terrible habit of leaving sensitive company documents on his desk, thinking his budget cuts meant no one would be snooping. So, the following Thursday, I stayed late. I accidentally left my laptop charger in his office. When I went to retrieve it the next morning, just before H arrived, I found it. While I was there, I accidentally spilled a little water on his desk, near his computer. Nothing major, just enough to make him a bit flustered. Then, I made my move. I'd already created a dummy email account using his name and a slight variation of the company domain. I sent an email to the entire executive board, including the CEO, detailing a fabricated scandal involving H, something about insider trading and embezzling funds. I attached a few documents I'd found on his desk, carefully doctored versions of real company reports, making it look like he was skimming money. So, the following Thursday, I stayed late. I accidentally left my laptop charger in his office.